onto these nice little cookies, diamond cookies, or diamond shortbread cookies. So you should find the recipe on your D2L shell. Here's the diamond cookie recipe. So we've done our mise en place here. We have all our ingredients lined up. Those ingredients are icing sugar, cake flour, soft unsalted butter, and we also have salt for flavoring, lemon zest, and vanilla extract. To make those cookies, you'll need a mixer, a sieve to sift your dry ingredients, mixing bowl, paddle attachment, plastic dough scraper, and a spatula. Okay, so let's get ready. So we're going to sift our flour, and we're going to add our icing sugar here. This is a one-stage mixing method. We're not creaming butter and sugar together. We're just simply combining all those ingredients together. Probably one of the easiest recipe to make. But we need to be careful that we don't overmix still. Oh, that salt got stuck on the bottom there a little bit. Alright, my salt is in there. So, as usual, we're going to sift our flour, and I like to sift the icing sugar as well to make sure it is nice and smooth and lump free. Okay, we have our dry ingredients now, and we're going to put all those in the mixer. I like to put those first, because if I was to put the butter in first, it kind of sticks on the bottom of the bowl, especially with this small amount. It's a bit more difficult. So I'm going to start with, I have my soft butter here with my flour, and I'm going to add my vanilla extract in here. I could use vanilla bean seeds, but for cost reasons we're going to be using vanilla extract, and I'm going to add my lemon zest. I'm not adding lemon zest to the flour. I just want it to mix in the butter, because if I was to add it to the butter, to the flour, I'm sorry, it kind of clumps up in the flour. So by mixing it in that soft butter, and you will see here, see the butter is really nice and soft. It's what we call beurre pommade. So see, I'm mixing those flavoring ingredients there in the butter. Okay, now into our mixing bowl. Every little bit counts, especially when we're working with small quantities here. We definitely could make this cookie dough by hand, but of course, you know, this is a very small quantity. But usually, quite often in the industry, you'd make a much larger batch. Alright, so let's put our paddle attachment in there onto our mixer. Let's not forget to lock up our bowl. Okay, now we're going to attach the paddle and raise our bowl. So let's turn this on. We're not going at a very fast speed. We're probably going about, you know, speed number 3, maybe 4 here on this mixer. We're just combining those ingredients together. And you see, you know, after, you know, about a minute, not even a minute, it starts to get crumbly. It's like a crumble texture at this point. It did not come together quite well yet, so we're going to mix it a little bit more. We scraped a little bit the butter off the paddle, and see, it's starting to come together as it mixes. There, you see the dough is starting to form. Okay, now I have my dough completed. I'm stopping my mixer right away. There's no need to make any further mixing. If you look at this recipe, it's very similar to a Scottish shortbread, because basically it's very, very few ingredients. There's no egg product in there. So let's clean our paddle very well. As I always say, you know, for small recipes, every little bit counts. So see, and you can see the dough is made here. Alright, I have a little bit of flour here. I'm going to dust my bench lightly. Don't go too heavily with the flour, because it's going to dry out your cookie dough. It's a pretty dry cookie dough to start with, because you know the only moisture in there is from the moisture content of the butter that you're using. So we're going to knead this by hand a little bit, just to make sure that it comes completely together. Okay, let's pick up those crumbs there. Alright, so my dough is nice and tight. I'm going to roll it a little bit into a bigger cylinder for now. Good. I'm going to divide this now in half. Otherwise I'm going to have very long tubes of dough, or cylinders, which is a bit hard to handle. So let's put one aside, and we're going to roll one. Very light dusting. Okay, again, so we need to make sure there's no air inside that tube, an air pocket. And you will feel it if you start rolling, and you will feel it if there's an air pocket in there. So that's why here I had one. So I'm tightening that dough again one more time to make sure that I do not have an air pocket. Otherwise I won't be able to roll it. Okay, so you see this dough is pretty soft, so we got to be gentle here. And always very, very light with the dusting. All right, back and forth. And you see it's starting to take shape. And again, very gentle, back and forth, rolling our dough. I'm not applying much pressure on the dough. As I said, it is very soft. Let's make sure those ends are nice and tight. So what we want here is about 3 centimeters in diameter. A cylinder that's about 3 centimeters in diameter. So I'm going to roll my second piece. And now I have my 2 pieces, my 2 cylinders. Good. The dough is made, so now it's time to put this on a tray in the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes to chill and firm up. 1 and 2 pieces. This recipe yields exactly 2 small pieces. So now we're going to show you how we're going to portion this cookie after they've been chilled, of course, in the fridge, not in the freezer. Otherwise the dough would be too cold. It would crack when we are trying to cut them. So I have a brush and some water here. So we're going to brush those cylinders. You see they're chilled, they're firm, with water. The idea is to make it sticky. So don't use too much water either. You don't want the sugar that we're going to roll them in to completely dissolve around the dough. So we're just brushing it to make it nice and sticky. Could you use a juice here? Citrus juice, lemon juice, orange juice? Maybe you could, yeah. We're just simply using water classically. So I'm sprinkling some granulated sugar, or often we'll see people using crystal sugar, which is a coarser sugar. So let's roll these in the sugar, back and forth slowly. Here's an area that's not completely covered with the sugar. Alright, a little bit more sugar on top there to make sure they're fully covered. Because as you saw originally in this recipe, there's very little sugar in that recipe. So this provides a nice crunch, as you can see. And also it impacts the sweetness of your cookie. So let's try this little trick here, rolling it in the sugar like this with the paper, and you see there, now it's evenly coated. Good. Just gonna fold that over here for now. I could simply discard that sugar back into an insert if I wanted to also. Let's put this aside. Now let's take our ruler, and we're going to portion those. So we know they're about 3 centimeters in diameter. What we want to do is mark it at 1 centimeter intervals. So we want pieces that are about 1 centimeter thick. Okay, so here's we've done one, and you see the dough is firm enough so we can cut it not too soft so it flattens the circles into an oval, and not too hard, otherwise it would simply break or crumble on us. So we have to have it at the right temperature. Right out of the fridge works well. So I've portioned my 2 cylinders now. I'm going to put this on a baking tray lined with parchment paper, and we're going to, if it's not quite round enough, sometimes you may need to shape it again. Okay, so we leave a little bit of space. This cookie, as you know, is made with icing sugar, so it has very, very little spread, minimal spread. But you notice the size. They're little poppers. They're almost one bite-sized cookies. They would fall, or they could fall, what we call in the category of petit four sec, dry little petit four, or tiny little cookies. Okay, we will explore petit fours a little bit more in a different block, but this is definitely a cookie that could be used for petit four. They're bite-sized, nice to snack on with a tea. So I've positioned all my cookies into the oven, into an oven at 325 Fahrenheit or 160 Celsius for about 20-22 minutes. And here you have your sablés.